Well, hello. It's time to check on the worm bins. And what I'm going to do this time is take the temperatures and see what the temperature ranges are for each different bin, because my worm farms are on different levels on a shelf. But let's open it up and see what's going on. This is my Red Wiggler Blue Mix worm bin. The bubble wrap looks like there's a lot of moisture. Let me put on one glove so I can get in here. But yeah, there's a lot of condensation. Mold or something right there. But the worms are on it, so that's not a bad sign. Just gonna fluff it up, turn it around, get some air movement. But this bin was fed previously raisins in the past. But look at that moisture. I think I'm going to take one of these layers off, so that way there can be some, it can dry out just a little bit. So I want to get the moisture levels to a different consistency, a little bit drier. But let me go ahead and see what the temperature is. I got this thermometer from Mimi's Worm Farm, and it's made in China, just in case you guys and gals want to know. But that don't bother me. It's got the protection for the prong. This is what it looks like. It has red, danger, yellow is okay, and green to go. So let's see how the temperature looks. And what you do, you place it in there and let it sit for about 3 to 4 minutes. Here's the temperature. It ranges between 70 and 75. That's a good temperature range. It's in the green. And you should always use your thermometer and bear it within 3 to 4 inches of your castings or your whatever you have in your bin to find out the measurements. And always, once you're done with it, remove it. But I would also put it in another section just to get one more reading, just to confirm. But yeah, this bin's at a good temperature, and like you can see, it's in the green, so it's a go. Now it's time to look at the Euros. This is the Euros, my European night crawlers. A lot of moisture too, condensation on the bubble wrap. So that goes to show once again that there is moisture in the bin. A lot of bedding for the worms. Nice fresh bedding. Castings on this side. So let's just take a temperature of what the castings is. Stick it in there and we'll check in a few minutes. These worm castings are about 70 degrees, but it's still in the green. And as you can see, when worm bins are on different levels of shelvings, there are different temperatures. Like I said, always wait 3 to 4 minutes to get your accurate reading. I'm going to just, sorry to bump you, I'm going to just give worm chow on this side here. And then I'm going to cover that up with half the bubble wrap, because I want my castings on the right side to dry out. So there we go. Just some slightly sprinkle a little bit of worm chow on the top. Just get a little bit more. So yes, 70 is definitely a great range for your worms. So I'm going to just cover it up with, like I said, half the bubble wrap. So this other side over here can dry out. So let's go ahead and look at my mixed worms. The mixed worm bin has red wigglers, blue worms, and European night crawlers. And this is my diversity and inclusion worm bin. So let's see. I'm going to throw this little piece of plastic away. There's no worms in it. Castings are wet on this side. They have to dry out. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to give them some worm chow. And before I forget, this bin feels a lot cooler. So let's go ahead and get a good reading of that, of this worm bin temp. The diversity and inclusion worm bin is running between 65 and 70 degrees. See, and that's why it's a lot moist. There's a lot more moisture. So that's why this bin has a lot more condensation in it, because the temperature is cooler and that's causing more condensation. So what I'm going to do is just cover half of the bedding up with this piece of plastic, my bubble wrap. And I'm not going to cover this side up over here to let this side over here dry out. But they're not going to get any worm chow. I'll just save this piece of bubble wrap for another time. But now let's look at my last worm bin with the red wigglers. Let's take a quick temperature of this worm bin because I forgot to do it. But I added water, so it might change the temperature up, but I'll set this in there for a few minutes and we'll check out the temp. The red wiggler worm bin's running about 70 degrees. It's in the green. This is my red wiggler worm bin, and this one runs the driest out of all of them. But I got these from Mimi's Worm Farm. The question for you, and there is some moisture, so that's a good sign. So where the moisture is, that's where the bedding's moist. But have you ever used a thermometer in your worm bins? And if you have, how long and what temperature do your bins run at? But the outsides of this worm farm has dry bedding. They're going to need some moisture. But these red wigglers are happy. But if you're interested in the thermometer, click on the link in the pinned comment. And while we're at it, let's talk about if you have the right pH balance for your worm bin.